What's going on, Players Choice family? Welcome to Chill with Chill. What's up, Chill? How you doing?
Good, yo. We had a little bit of a technical issue, but we got it figured out. We straight
Yeah,
now. Yeah, we
nothing
hot.
too crazy.
We hot.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. We all good.
We got some interesting topics today.
Yeah, man.
Spinning off what we was talking about earlier. We got some interesting stuff today. I like it.
Yeah. Had an exciting episode. Started out a little different on the panel. Started off a little different. We kind of got into some, a little personal, which was always good to do with family. Got to talk about how we looked at things. Kind of wanted to just kind of carry into that conversation, Chill, about maybe like what it means to you to be a father, and what are some things that you learned along the way, and what's most important, and looking back, if there was anything that maybe you would have liked to teach, or maybe something you would have left out, or just just all around, just your view upon fatherhood.
Right. Well, I never met my father, so I don't know what he looked like. I never spoke to him, so I don't know anything about my father. And the actual father that I had, it was very, very difficult, right? It was really difficult with the father that I had, because it wasn't a good experience. So I was afraid of duplicating that. So I made a lot of mistakes as a father, at a young age. I had my daughter. I was 22 years old when I had my daughter. And as a young man, I really was clueless about what it actually took to be a father, because from the example that I had, I didn't want to be like that. And my uncle was an example of what a father could be like, but I didn't think that I could be that good. So what a father is, and what I learned as I was growing up, what a father is somebody who is an example for you. You don't necessarily have to even be blood, right? If he decides that, your mother separated from your father at an early age, and now this guy is taking over the reins, he's the example of what a man should be. He's going to look after you. He's going to show you the ropes. He's going to show you how to treat a woman. He's going to show you how to conduct yourself as a man. And if you got a daughter, it's the exact same thing. He's going to conduct himself as a man. He's going to show you how a man should treat a woman. He's going to teach you discipline. He's going to be there for you when you need him. And he's going to be that guy that you depend on as a father. And I found out later on that it wasn't something, it wasn't the way I wanted to do it, right? It wasn't the way I wanted to do it, but I didn't do it completely wrong. I could have screwed up a whole lot of other things with it, but I didn't. My daughter turned out to be a very productive member of society. She's graduated from college. She's a nurse, really smart girl. I only got one daughter because I stopped at one because I didn't want to live in a house full of women, and that's probably what ended up happening to me. And I really wasn't trying to hear doing that. I think that would have ended up happening to me. So I stopped after one. But I feel like fathers are extremely important to their kids, especially black fathers. They're very important to their kids, because what we do is we provide an example of what it's like to be a role model to your kid, and let them know that I am responsible, and I'm not just a responsible adult. I'm responsible for you, and being responsible for you, that means you could depend on me, right? That means you could depend on me. And again, what I don't want to do, Big Ox, is I don't want to make it sound like I did everything right, because I screwed up a lot as a young father. Yes, I did, but I did my best to turn that around, and I felt like I became not the cool dad, but more the respected dad. Like, yo, this is my pops. And it was one of those things where she really accepted me for that, and not just accepted me for that. Because again, when you're raising a girl, it's completely different than raising a boy. I'm different with raising my daughter. I got to meet the boyfriend, and I got to watch how I talk to her, because I don't want to screw her up. I don't want to break her confidence. I want her to be, as opposed to a boy, I could rough him up a little bit, because that's what the world is. Right. So
be a little more stern.
Right. I could be a little bit more stern with him. Add that to the fact that having a biracial daughter, it's even more difficult, because there's an identity crisis. All right, I got two different parents. But I got a white mother and a black father. So does that mean that which side is going to accept me? Which side is going to be? And both sides of her family were very accepting of her, right? I wouldn't stand for that. I would not stand for that. I wasn't trying to hear none of that. If you're gonna be down with me, you're gonna be down with her. And if you can't dig that, it ain't gonna be none of that. Yo, you go away. No, you are going to accept her. That's just how it is. And again, I think the most important part in being a father is being there. And what I mean when I say being there, Big Ox, I don't mean just being present, right? I don't mean just being present, because you could be there and be doing nothing.
Right.
Be there and
be doing nothing, trying to speak on earlier.
Yeah, you could be there and be doing nothing. I feel like if I'm there and on some level I'm giving you something, whether it's some knowledge on how to do things, or it's just a voice, or it's a soundboard, somebody that you just need to talk to. I might not have all the answers for you, but just know that I am here, right? Just know that I am here for you, and with me being here for you, I'm gonna always be there for you.
Right on. So I'm gonna bring y'all up early because we having this type of topic, sturdy context. Y'all got anything y'all want to add to this particular topic?
In particular for this topic, shout out to y'all, man, because being a parent is, especially a father, in my opinion, a father, especially for a type of society that we live in today, is the most important job that you don't get paid for. And so shout out to y'all for raising the next generation of great black people coming up. And also shout out to all the dads out there watching too, man, because at the end of the day, it is, you made that choice, and it is your responsibility to be a father, but everyone, it takes a good man to be a great father. So shout out to y'all, man.
That's a fact. You got Chill, you gave a great breakdown just to give like little small tidbits. Like for me, there were situations where I had to look at other people because there was a disconnect with me and my pops throughout the years. So like it's very imperative, like you said, not to only just be there in the physical, but also like to be there mentally and emotionally. Because like you said, the guidance part is really the key. And there's an emphasis, and even like Chill, you're a historian. You understand that there was something that was put into place on purpose to create this chaos that especially that's rampant in the minority communities, right? And if you guys aren't familiar, you guys could do your research. It's called the Willie Lynch theory. Whenever you guys get a chance, and especially for like minority people, especially for our black people, understand why they wanted to remove the father figure and how it permeates throughout the rest of history. Like, so these are a lot of people are going through generational trauma. So that's why I understood where Ticket was coming from, because what happens is, what if the son ends up reading these things like later on in life, like, you know what I mean, and has a distaste for his father, you know what I mean? This happens very frequently in a lot of communities that's marginalized, where the mother is put against the father. The father is trying to do the right thing, but then he jumps into these hurdles in life that doesn't allow him to be a picture perfect father. You know what I mean? And some of these things are by design. Some of these are definitely, we need to hold ourselves accountable in certain situations. But I feel like a lot of times that there isn't the same grace. We especially for black fathers, I don't think they're given the same grace as their counterparts. So I think like the community as a whole needs to be a little bit more understanding of the trials and tribulations of to be a father. It's not as easy as you think. Like, to be honest with you, you kind of have to be like a Draymond Green. You don't get all of the, think about it. You don't get all the glitz and glamour, right? I mean, Father's Day, sometimes you might get a sock if you're lucky. You know what I'm saying? So
it's definitely a thankless job.
Right.
And sometimes you got to knock out a light skinned dude here and there. You know what I'm saying?
it's a thankless job, 100%. And that's kind of what it is when I signed up for it, knowing that I got a daughter, and me having a daughter, I'm the first man that she knows. So I'm the example of what a man is going to be like. But like, what are you gonna have to deal with when you growing up? How do you want your man to be? Do you want your man to be like this? Do you want your man to be because if you notice, most girls, that's who they marry. They marry their father.
That's a fact.
They marry guys that are similar to their dad.
And that's for better or for worse, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's chill. That's why I'm kind of ducking and dodging until I get mature enough. Cause I'm like, yo, I am not what I want. Like if I got, like, you know what I'm saying? If God allows me to have kids, I don't want my daughter to hell. The guy that I'm right now, no way.
You never read, understand.
I was, no.
Let's be clear.
Chill. No. Hold on. Let me just say this, chill. If, let's say, for example, fast forward, I had a daughter and I saw me, me and him was having a conversation. We had to go one-on-one first. Like,
here's the difference. Here's the difference. The difference is that, number one, you're never ready. You can read all the books. You're never ready. Number two, it don't matter who she bring home. She could bring home the suited and booted dude that go to Stanford. And at the end of the day, he's some jerk off messing around with your daughter. That's who he is. No matter who he is. He could be the nicest guy. At the end of the day, you're looking at him like, what you want with my daughter? What you doing around my? I don't care what kind of job he got. It doesn't make a difference.
Right.
She'll say he could be AC Green. I still don't trust him.
It don't make a difference. It don't make a difference. He can walk up to you. Yo, I ain't never been with no other girls. And
right.
What you want with my daughter? Sure. That's immediately what it is.
Right, for sure.
Starting in text, I'm gonna drop y'all back in the lobby. I'm not gonna boot y'all from the lobby, so y'all stay on. So when we really get into the hoop talk, I'm gonna bring y'all back up after a couple other cats if y'all got time. If y'all got time,
no doubt. I ain't going nowhere.
Right on. Okay, appreciate y'all. We'll get back with y'all in a little bit.
No doubt.
All right. Yeah, it's always good to have those type of talks, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely. Talk it out because there's a lot of us, you know, that are scared to get to, you know, become a father for certain reasons. Maybe not being close with their own pops or whatever it may be, just bad relationships or just because they don't think they're mature enough. But like you said, Chetan, you're never going to be ready. Like I'm learning something new every single day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a journey, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Real quick, let me let me get this super chat out the way real quick from David Estilo. You know, he said, chill. Where did all this Stockton slander come from? Today's fans don't remember this much hate for him back then. Former PGs talk highly of him.
In the words of my boy Big Ox, basketball geeks. That's who. That's who started this. And don't get me wrong, we now have access to numbers and we have access to production that we didn't have in the past, right? So now we got that sort of stuff, which does play into it to some level. However, what we can't mask is when you watch these dudes play, because again, I don't just go off the numbers, but I don't just go off the eye test. I go off a combination of those two. Stockton was never slandered 25 years later, like he was never slandered 25 years ago like he is today. It's like the guy was average. Like if you were playing back then, he was average. Guys like Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, talk about Stockton in the highest of regards.
Right.
And the reason why they talk about him like that, because that's what he was. He was an elite point guard. He wasn't a good point guard. He wasn't a great point guard. He was an elite player in the NBA. And he was an elite player in the NBA for a long time, for a super long time. And these guys, Kevin Johnson, Tim Hardaway, Gary Payton, these guys that talk about Stockton, they knew that he was hell to deal with on every level. This guy is hell to deal with. And when I see him, I knew I had my hands full.
Right. It's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it. But
I was a big Stockton fan when I was a kid, and I didn't get to see him nearly as much, Big Ox.
Right.
I didn't get to see him nearly as much later on. I mean, early on as I got to later, I'm thinking to myself, damn, I would have loved to have seen him earlier than this. Like when I'm watching him in the 88 playoffs against Magic, I'm thinking, yo, this dude nice.
Yeah.
Who is this? How come they ain't on TV more?
We've been dealing with Stockton slander. We dealt with Stockton slander all this regular season that just passed. We still. I'm never gonna understand why.
Yeah,
never gonna understand why. But speaking of GOATs, like John Stockton, let me shout out our GOAT members: Haramis MR, Terry IDWC, and Avion Plumber. Appreciate you guys for being GOAT members. If you want to be a GOAT member, just click on the link. It's no big deal. But speaking of another GOAT, a future GOAT, somebody who I think is going to get more credit and will get more credit. Let's talk about Asia Wilson real quick. Last night, she drops 53 points. Becky Hammond after the game says she runs like a deer, jumps like a cat, and catches as if she were Spider-Man. You know, that's those are words from the legend herself, Becky Hammond. She is so special. Her real gift is her humility and grace and how she handles herself and her teammates. She is a phenomenal superstar. And that's the part I wanted to get to about the grace. To me, Asia Wilson is just a graceful monster, a beast, but so graceful with it. And I love watching her play. Did you see that?
I did see that. I did see that. You know who Asia Wilson reminds me of? Not necessarily as a player, but not any specific player. But she reminds me in context, like with her versatility, how she can just do different things. So, for example, Big Ox, how she steps out in the mid post, how she knocks down the mid range jump shot. That's the chick that, you know, I could put my hair down. I could put on a nice dress. I could put on a nice pair of heels, and I could be finesse. But then she get on that box, and she'll beat you up. Then she'll stick her nose in there, and she'll rebound the basketball. That's the chick that pull her hair back, put her gloves on, tie her boots all the way up to the top, and say, I can get in there and do the dirty work too. So when you're talking about a dirty work, and when you're talking about a versatile player, when you're talking about a complete player, that's what I look at when I look at greatness. And Asia Wilson checks all those boxes. And she did that when she was in college, when she was running with Dawn Staley. And Dawn Staley instilled that in her, that every day you are the best. Not every other day or every third day. Every day there is nobody out here on the floor who can see you. Nobody. And that's how she carries herself in the WNBA. She walk around for real like I'm the baddest you know what out here, and it's not one of y'all out here who can see me, and I can give it to you however you want it.
So with that being said, shout out Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, and Jewel Lloyd, of course. So those are the ones I asked the question on Instagram yesterday. Who is the best WNBA player right now? And Asia Wilson got 69% of the votes. So I think it's kind of, I don't know. Some people could say, you can say Stewie. I mean, you can say Stewie.
Stewie nice too. Stewie nice too.
I think Asia just got a little bit more.
And I'm a little partial. I'm a little partial to the big girl, right? I'm a little partial to the big girl. I was a big Sylvia Fowles fan when she was in the league. I dug Sylvia Fowles, the glass cleaner and the rim protector that she was. So I'm a little partial to the big girl. But I actually it was a stretch where I thought that Kelsey Plum was the best player in the game. I just felt like there was nobody who could really see her. I was like, yo, this chick, I think she's the best player in the game. But then I started watching Asia Wilson more and more, and I saw how refined her game was and how everything she does affects the game. Everything, whether it's rebounding, whether it's running the floor, whether it's passing on the perimeter, everything she does affects the game to an extent where, can't nobody see her. And I have to say today, I think Asia Wilson is the best player in the game.
I would have to agree.
Yes.
So, just kind of segueing into something else to attempt. So, speaking about greats, I think she will be an all-time great for in the WNBA. But what would make you, so kind of, in the NBA particularly now, what makes you an all-time great? Not just like, oh, he's top 15 today. He's fringe top 10 this season or that season. He might get second or third team if he's lucky. I'm not talking about just, I'm not talking about, with all the respect, I'm not talking about Jaylen Brown.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about one of them. The guy that's on everybody's top 10 list somewhere or close to, he will be. LeBron, obviously, we're talking Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry's. We're talking about those type of players today. Even what James Harden was and Kawhi Leonard. I'm talking about those guys. What does it take to be that? And what type of accomplishments do you have to accomplish in your career?
Well, you started it when you said all-time great. So I'm great, but I'm not great now. I'm not great in a couple of years. All time. That means in any era, I'm great. Well, what makes me great all time? What makes me great all time is my game translates on every level. See, a lot of people look at the skill level in the NBA today, and the the player today is much more skilled than he was back then. Well, that may be true, but the difference is what does that translate into, right? So if you're more skilled today than you were back then, where you nicer with the pill, right? You could shoot the long ball. You're quote unquote a better athlete. Does that translate into anything? As opposed to a guy who playing basketball, the basic stuff is still there. My ability to rebound, my ability to knock down an open shot, my ability when we get into the meat and potatoes of the game to come up with a big play, whether I'm getting a steal, whether I'm getting a block. You can have me as the best player on the team no matter what era, because my stuff, the stuff that I do translates to every era. So a guy like Chamberlain, a guy like Russell, a guy like James, a guy like Jabbar, a guy like Jordan, their games, Bird, Magic, Olajuwon, Duncan, Shaq, these guys, Bryant, Steph Curry, these guys, their games translate to every era. So what I do something, I may do something specific, but I do a number of different things also great. But the one thing that I do that translates to every era is as a basketball player. I do the things that make me a great basketball player, which now makes me an all-time great basketball player.
Right. So in the league right now, just talking about in the league now, and we can even talk about, I know Mars the other day wanted to, talk about the guys coming in that haven't played yet. We'll have to make an exception because, we have Victor Wembanyama and there's been such high praise of him. So how many guys are we looking at that are actively playing in the NBA right now? How many guys are we looking at that will probably retire as that all-time great?
I think that we have a couple of guys in the league today who are potential, younger guys in particular, who are potentially all-time greats, but the guys that are like James is going to retire as an all-time great. Kawhi Leonard is going to retire as an all-time great. Let's see. Russell Westbrook is going to retire as an all-time great. Chris Paul is going to retire as an all-time great. We don't talk nearly as much about Russell. You know who I equate Russell Westbrook to, Big Ox? I equate Russell Westbrook to Jermaine Dupri. Like nobody talks about Jermaine. Nobody talks about Jermaine Dupri nearly as much as they should. This dude was a hit factory, right? This dude was a hit factory, popping out hits on the regular. Russell Westbrook, when he retires, because I think Russ got 2 more years at this level before he completely slows down. When Russell Westbrook retires, he's going to be a member of the 25,000 point, 10,000 assist club. James is the only other guy in that class. That's it. We don't talk about Russ being an all-time great nearly as much as we should.
So wait.
Nearly as much.
It's 25,000 points, 10,000 assists, 10,000 rebounds?
Yes. And 25,000 for Russell Westbrook, it'll be 25,000 points, 10,000 assists. Not 10,000 rebounds, but 10,000 assists.
Okay.
And him and James are the only 2 guys that's in that class. Nobody else. So when I think of, like, to answer your question, guys like Russell Westbrook, right? Guys like Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, let's see, Steph Curry, James, Kawhi Leonard. These guys, because
Chris Paul doesn't have 25,000 points, or not? No, not close. He's not 20,000.
He does have 20. I think he has 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he has 20, and I think he's got him and he's the only. I think he passed Stockton, because I thought Stockton is like 700 points away from 20,000 points, 15,000 assists, which, I mean, that's a completely different subject. But with that being said, it's only a handful of guys. A lot of people think that, guys that play in a certain era, all of them are all-time greats. Like everybody in this era is an all-time great. Well, that's not necessarily true.
So you don't want to speculate any of the young guys?
I do. So I think Jason Tatum is potentially an all-time great. I think that Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards is potentially an all-time great. I think Trae Young could potentially be an all-time great. I think Luka is potentially an all-time great. I think Joker is an all-time great. I think Giannis also is an all-time great. But when you're talking about when you're talking about the younger guys, the Anthony Edwards, young guys like that, there aren't many that I can think of off the top of my head. Like, okay, this guy is potentially an all-time great. Anthony Edwards, like we're talking about year 3. I'm on record saying I think in 2 years tops, I think he's the best 2 guard in the game, and I think in 3 years tops, I think he's a top 5. I think he's a top 5 player in the game.
You said Luka, right?
I did say Luka. I did say Giannis. I did say
Giannis. Yeah, Giannis Joker. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Devion, Mr. Mesh, y'all want to add anybody to the list, or y'all got any input on any all-time greats that we're looking at, or what it takes to be an all-time great? What's your criteria?
That's a great question, man. And salute to all you guys, man. Big Ox, Chill, Devion, bro. You know, I think we all have different criteria for all-time greats, but I think winning needs to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily championships, but deep postseason runs. And you're the reason why you're making those runs. High basketball IQ, must-see TV, box office type player, a complete player to a certain degree, a two-way player. You mentioned guys like Jason, Anthony Edwards. I don't see that, man. I'm sorry. I don't see those type of guys as being all-time great players. I see guys like Anthony and Jason just being guys who are gifted, you know, physically gifted, you know, talented scorers, but not necessarily two-way elite players. And they ain't got to be elite on defense, but I mean, I think guys are giving defensive titles prematurely. Chill in this era. You got guys being called ball stoppers, which they're not. You know what I'm saying? And so the only player in this era that's young coming up, you know, below 30, who I can say can be an all-time great. I think Luka can. You know, and
so is it to ask this question, is it if you are not elite on the defensive side of the basketball, your offense has to be so substantial that it completely 86s that?
Well, Steph Curry is the perfect example, right? Where his defense is suspect, and teams, the Warriors have hit him for years, but his offensive impact on and off the ball with his gravity. And after Devion gives this perspective on this all-time great stuff, I want to get into that with you real quick, Joe, before I go. But I mean, listen, man. I mean, I think Luka can be that. But I mean, Joker has a chance to be, but I need more consistency from Joker. He can't just have one championship and do it for 1 year. So that's just
what are you looking at when you look at Jason Tatum, when you look at Anthony Edwards, what is missing from that conversation? Because again, Mr. Max, I want to make sure we clear. We're talking about all-time great. So that's not just something that we throw out. We're talking about a dude who, in 50 years, we still gonna be talking about you.
Correct. And so just real quick, when I look at Anthony and Jason, fellas, one thing is this: Jason's too hot and cold. All-time great players listen, I can deal with it's a make or miss league. I can deal with missed shots, right? But I can't deal with you being passive in game 1, but you're all for it for game 3. You feel me? Anthony Edwards, the IQ of Anthony Edwards, I hate it right now. I think he's still so prematurely from a mental standpoint. I think listen, he's gifted and he's getting by right now just on pure talent, but I don't think he thinks the game yet. And so until he thinks the game and becomes higher IQ, shot selection, stuff like that, then again, bro. And then Jason, bro, he's just inconsistent. He's sometimey, and all-time great players don't play like that. They bring it night in and night out, despite missing shots. Listen, like production and results is one thing, but for Westbrook, right? If you gave Anthony and Jason Westbrook's mentality, where I'm coming at you, Iverson, I'm just keep coming, right?
And that motor too.
I can respect
and
that.
that motor too.
So that's what I'm saying.
That's fair. Davion, what's up, brother?
What's up? How y'all doing? Yeah, my criteria, I guess it's a little like higher than yours. Like you say, Russ is like he'd be an all-time great or whatever, but I think he'll just be good for our time. Like we'll think, let's say 5 to 10 years, 20 years from now, Russ retire. Us now who got to watch Russ, we'll know that he was good in our time, but Russ couldn't be a number 1 on the team leading to a championship. No matter what his stats would be like, no matter what 25 and 10 club he'll be in, no matter who he is, no matter what his stats would be, we know who they are as players. So I think the all-time greats is just a select few, like Bron, Steph, KD, I guess if you want to throw KD in there. But same thing with KD, people will be like, KD never won on his own without the Warriors, whatever you want to say. But I just think depending on who it is and what your criteria is different.
Right.
Mine is just you have to win. Winning, being the number one.
Winning does matter. 100%
Like
does.
winning in multiple years, not just you win one ring. You have to win multiple years, 2 or more. And my criteria, at least. Like you can't have a 1-year fluke. You win your championship and you never make it back to the final.
Anybody can win it once. Anybody can win it once.
Exactly. So you have to be multiple years, and throughout any decade, you there. Your whole career, you consistent.
Right.
Always fighting for a championship, either Western Conference Finals, like close every year. Like you can't just be second round exit and you just.
So let me ask you this, Davion. Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
So you're talking about a guy in Russell Westbrook who every year he was in Oklahoma City, with the exception of his second year, his first and second year, and the last year that he played there. So he had I think he had an 8-year stretch where he was in the playoffs every year, right? So with that being said, we got a guy in Russell Westbrook. In 20 years from now, let's say Russ retired today, and 20 years from now, he'd be removed 20 years from the NBA. How are we talking about Russell Westbrook? Are we talking about him like Steve Nash? Are we talking about him like Jason Kidd? How are we talking about him? Even though Jason Kidd won an NBA championship, how are we talking about Russell Westbrook?
He gonna get talked about more like Melo. Like he was good at. I feel like he was good at, as far as like he was good in his time. He was good at what he did. But he never won. You can never win with him as a number one. I think that's how he'll be talked about.
So winning is at the top of the list for you.
Well,
I mean, it got to be. It got to be.
I just feel like so many things go into winning, right? So
Definitely.
I can appreciate winning being a high priority because I care about winning too, right? But when I'm talking about an all-time great player, 2 things before winning matter. Number one is your game timeless. And I think about Russell Westbrook, his game, the athlete that he was, how fast he played, how athletic he was, how he finished around the rim, how he got other guys involved. That's number one. Number 2, did you dominate? And Russell Westbrook, you can make the argument during his prime. I don't ever think he was better than Steph Curry. I don't ever think he was better than him. But he was in the conversation as the best lead guard in the game. And that was a real conversation for him to be in that as the best league guard in the game.
He was in a conversation for the best league guard putting up numbers. But the question, like Devion's asking is, Chill, is that does it lead to winning? I don't care how great your skill set is. If your skill set doesn't translate to winning games, then how all-time great are you? Because guess what? Did Russ ever win 50 games in OKC without Durant, without PG, without Carmelo Anthony? Because guess what? James Harden was winning 55 games plus before Chris and Russ got to Houston. Dwight Howard missed half the season in 2015. The Rockets were the number 2 seed and won 54 games. And then postseason, right? Like your game has to translate in the postseason because again, all-time great players, fellas, right? I can say you're the reason. And real quick too, Chill, we hear a lot about it's a 5-on-5 game, right? Team versus team, right? But we know in the fourth quarter, there's a game within the game where it's me versus you.
My best player is better than your best player.
Yes.
I care about that.
So with that being said, then, as an all-time great player, I allowed the Kobes, the LeBrons, the MJs, right? Get me to the fourth quarter within striking distance, and my all-time great talent, whatever that is, skill set, will to win, I'm going to get us through the.
We're ripping up the game plan and go get me a bucket.
The question, so
no more X and O's. Go get me a bucket.
Correct. Hey, Chilltown, screw offense, screw sets, give me the basketball, get out my way. You agree with that? Yes or no?
Yes. Because my best player is better than your best player.
So with that being said, in a high pressure, and again, I'm talking about high pressure moments in the postseason, you can give it to Russ and say, "Take me home." We've never seen that. I've never seen that.
I never felt like, and Russ is. I'm on record saying this with Big Ox. Russ is the chick that's so fine, but then you find out that she ain't really that smart. You're like, damn, yo, like she was dope, but come to find out she ain't really that smart, and then that kind of breaks your heart. That's kind of what that's kind of what it was with Russ with me, because I watched Dominique Wilkins and Bird go at it in the fourth quarter, where at the end of the game, it's my best player against your best player. We all got you here, finish it. I can't say that with Russ. I can't. I can't say that with Russ. But I do think that from what he produced when he was with Kevin Durant, for the time that he was with him, the numbers that he put up, and for the time that he did it, I accept the fact that Russell Westbrook was never a number one on the championship team. I accept that. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a number one to be an all-time great. But what I do care about is I care that you can't be a detriment to us winning. If we lose, it can't be because of you.
Correct.
And yeah. I think that's something that may hurt him.
Chilltown, my bad, Bob. You're skating on thin ice because listen to what you just said, bro. You just said you can't be the reason why we lose. And the guy that you support and say who's number one on your list of all time, he's been the sole reason why they've lost championships.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Maz. I'm glad you brought that up.
Wait, hold on. We ain't doing this.
Hold on, Davion. I'm glad you brought that up because the difference is that they've actually. The difference is that they've actually won with him as the reason.
I agree.
So that's where the separator is. If you were just to say, well, he was the reason why they lost and they never won, I would have to eat that 100%. But the fact that they did win with him being the reason why they won, or him being a huge reason why they won, I think that X's that out.
And also the same reason why they also lost because of the teammates not playing and him playing the best. So it also goes both ways. You can't just say, because they lost because Braun played bad. There's been times where Braun played the best out of everybody in the series, and they lost because his teammates didn't care. So it's like that don't even make sense. You can't just say that. It go both sides when you say that.
No, we can say.
But Mash, Mr. Mash, you said you had something else you wanted to get to.
Yeah. Real quick before I go, because I guess this Steph Curry and Magic has been a hot topic as of late.
Yeah, we was gonna get to that. I'm happy.
Quick question, Chilltown, and even you, Bob, and Davon. Magic's impact on offense with his passing and playmaking, facilitating, coming at you, transition, blah, blah, blah. The impact was so great. I think we all agree on that, right? I think his total point guard package is the best of all time. If you tell me a pure passer, I like John Stockton, just pure passing. But Magic had the intangibles and the height, so I get it, right? What if I told you that Steph Curry's impact on and off the basketball and his gravity on the offense and the way the defense has to prepare for him is just as, if not more impactful than Magic's passing? Not to mention, Magic played with Kareem, Byron James, elite players, arguably a top 3 player of all time in Kareem, whereas Steph hasn't done that majority of his career, and he still has 4 championships. So I'm speaking, Chilltown, to the impact of Steph's ball movement off the basketball, opening up, shot for his guys, moving, back doors, right? Because the threat when Steph passes half court is so great, you have to count for him at all times, right? Is that impact higher than Magic's passing and just run the Lakers Showtime offense? Is that fair?
I don't think it's his impact is higher than Magic's ability to pass, because, and again, I'm on record with Big Ox saying this, that anybody can train a secretary. You can screw them up too. So the fact that Magic jumps on this crew that's quote unquote ready made, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work. But it did work because of Magic's skill set. And the thing that we don't talk about nearly as much as we should when we're talking about Magic, the fact that Magic was 6'9", that's a matchup nightmare at the lead guard, right? And not only is it a matchup nightmare at the lead guard, it was unprecedented. Nobody at that size was handling the basketball like that. He completely changed the game from that aspect. Him speeding up the game, him getting into the teeth of the defense. Not only him getting into the teeth of the defense, him causing nightmare matchups for smaller guards, where now you had teams having to get bigger guys to cover Magic, which now affected their ability to rebound because Magic stuck his nose in there and rebound, which now affected their transition game because Magic was doing that sort of stuff. So when I think about Steph Curry's ability off the basketball, that constitutes as more of a combo guard than more of a lead guard.
Okay, because I was speaking to his, just Steph Curry's versatility on an offense and his impact to what Golden State does. I think Magic Johnson's one caveat is this. He's 6'9". We never seen that before back in those days. And so if he wasn't 6'9", he would be more of a traditional point guard. But because he was 6'9", chill, there was matchups where he had to, where he could take advantage of. Whereas Steph is not 6'9", but I'm looking at how both teams operate their offenses in the 80s and then in today's current NBA age. And I can honestly say that I think Steph Curry's impact and what he means for that offense compared to what Magic meant for his offense, I can argue, if I can articulate it the right way, that I think Steph Curry is on his level, or if not, or even better from an impactful standpoint.
I just think
Mr. Mass, I actually had a debate about this on Mookie's channel, on the league, and so I played a little basketball with this one, and I feel like when I did it, I can't remember the exact numbers, but my formula was this: Steph Curry's difference in points for Magic. And then I did the difference in assist that Magic had with Curry. And just that alone, Magic's possible points with those assists. And I just want to imagine that they're 2-point field goals. It was more points accumulated from that. But also, I even went into offensive rebounds. Magic Johnson had like 1,000 more offensive rebounds, and so I'm looking at it that way, like, okay, those are second chance opportunities.
I agree. So
when I just on the basketball alone, and like I said, I can't remember the numbers. I wish I could because it was actually pretty impressive.
I'm just thinking about Magic. I'm just thinking about Magic as every night he had the mismatch. Every night, no matter who he went up against, just off the strength that he was 6'9", and Steph Curry might have birthed a new way of offense, but Magic birthed a new player. So no Magic, no LeBron James, no Magic, no Luka, no Magic, no big guard. He birthed the big guard. Steph Curry being 6'3", he made it cool for the average looking dude to be able to play at this level because you could be that size. You might not be able to shoot like him, but you could try. You can't try to be 6'9". There's no way you can try to do that. You either are 6'9" or you're not. And with Magic having that matchup, that mismatch every night, that just made him so much more dangerous.
Let me close with this, and then I'm out. Big Oxen chilling, fellas. Last point, and I'm out. Here's why. And again, I think Magic's the best PG of all time. I'm just saying there's a case to be made for Steph if you can articulate it the right way, in my opinion. Chill. You know, Magic played what, 12, 13 seasons, right? Am I right about what, 12 seasons? He was in the finals 9 of those 12 seasons, fellas.
Yes, sir.
9 times playing meaningful basketball. And so when you add in everything in the totality of what he did as a point guard in the 80s and what it meant for basketball in that time, that plays a factor as well. And so, you know, we tend to look at guys or, you know, for example, they say, oh, well, LeBron's been to 9 straight finals or whatever. Well, Magic played 9 in 12 years. I mean, all he knew was high pressure basketball, right, Joe?
Yeah.
And for the most part, I know there's been times where Magic came up short. He's human, but for the most part, he just played a winning style. And that style was led by him passing, facilitating. And so again, I got Magic.
2 years. He only missed 2 years. He only missed the conference. 2 years he missed the conference finals. 2 years.
I got
other than that, he was in the conference finals every year.
I got Magic as my number 1. I got Steph as my number 2. And then I'm gonna close with this and I'm out. I got Jason Kidd number 3. I think Jason Kidd is highly underrated. That's just me though. But all right, fellas. Hey, chill, man. Always good talking to you guys. Big Ox, Devion. All right, fellas.
All right, brother.
All right, man. All right, Devion. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just, again, Big Ox, when we talk about Magic, man, we're talking about a guy who birthed players, right? Don't get me wrong. I think that, you know, guys recognize who Steph Curry is and players play like him. But when you think about guys that tried to play like Magic, how much more impactful, like Penny, right? Like Luka, right? James, you know, the big guard. So before Magic, before Magic, you know, the big guard was like Michael Ray Richardson and Paul Pressey. You know, Magic brought that different style to not just different style to the game. He brought a whole other entertainment value to the game that guys didn't have, right? And again, he was a matchup nightmare every single night. And he was that guy from the door. And he stayed that guy. Ox, I'm on record saying this to you. One of the biggest what ifs, if not the biggest what if, was Magic. We got robbed 4 years. We got robbed 4 years of his prime. We got robbed of that.
That's crazy. But you know, just moving on from that because you know I'm actually happy Mr. Matz brought that up because I really wanted your input on that, like who's the best point guard after Steph. After Steph said that, and mind you, I feel like Steph has every right to feel that way. I feel like Steph Curry answering that question the way he answered that question. I respect Steph for just keeping it real, you know, saying how he feels. And you can look at the interview, the way he was smiling after he said that. I think it was one of those things like, he really needed to get that off his chest. Like he just felt relieved to finally say, like, I am the best point guard, you know. And I think he was happy Gilbert. Was it Gilbert that asked him, or was
it was Gilbert Arenas?
Gilbert. When he asked him, I think he was just, I'm happy you asked me that because now I can really tell you how I really feel.
And it was one of those answers where, am I lying?
Right.
That's how he answered it. Like, am I lying? Which, don't get me wrong, right? Don't get me wrong. When you are at that level, and a lot of guys, which makes me nuts when I hear people say, don't let them say it. We should be able to say it and not them. I don't buy that at all. And the reason why I don't buy that at all is because as much as I put into my game, right? As much as I put into my game, and to have to listen to you tell me that this guy was better than me, or I wasn't this, or I wasn't that, that's really disheartening. But with that being said, these guys have incredible egos. You cannot be that good and just be a aw shucks kind of guy. No, there's no way that anybody, but there's no way that I believe that Steph Curry is that good and he's just I'm okay. No, Steph Curry absolutely is. Even before he said it to Gilbert Arenas, don't think for 1 second, Big Ox, that he went around his homeboys like, I'm nicer than all of these dudes.
Yeah.
I'm nicer than him. I'm better than him. I'm definitely better than him. I'm better than him. Don't even talk to him about him and me at the same time because he ain't close to me. Absolutely, he does that.
Steph played that humble role.
Yeah.
But you know when the cameras is off, he talking about, man, I wouldn't even play him. I'll let Seth play him.
Right. Give me a break with that dude. He's nicer than me. Give me a break. Right. And the reason why is because of the work that these guys put in. And because I put this amount of work in, what you see me producing, that's what gets me to the point where I'm an all-time great. So I could do this today. I could do this 20 years ago. I'll be able to do this 20 years from now because that's just who I am. I don't look at Steph Curry as a point guard. I've never looked at Steph Curry as a point guard. I look at him more as a combo guard. I feel like he plays off the basketball just as much, if not more, than he plays on the basketball. He's not the facilitator that the all-time greats like John Stockton, like Magic, like Isaiah Thomas, like Jason Kidd, like Oscar Robertson. He's not that kind of facilitator. But on the other hand, if you walk into a room, Big Ox, and there's Magic, Bird, guys like that sitting at a table, Steph Curry is sitting at a table over here, and none of y'all can sit at this table. None of y'all. He's sitting at his own table, and none of you dudes. That includes like Jordan, Chamberlain, like these dudes sitting at a table. Magic, these dudes sitting at a table. Steph Curry sitting at a table that's completely different from all of these other dudes.
So Ray can't sit with him.
Ray Allen.
Yeah, Ray
as a shooter, sure, he can definitely sit with him. But as an overall player, no, it's not many guys that can sit at this table as a combo guard. There's not many guys who can sit at that table with him. No.
Right. Facts. Random guy. Emmanuel, how do y'all feel about that?
I guess I'm maybe because I'm still thinking about what y'all said about Russell Westbrook, but I think you're right. Anybody who says that Steph doesn't have an argument, like what we talking about?
Oh yeah, that's preposterous. Steph Curry has every right in the world to feel the way he feels.
Mm-hmm. Like I think I want to go back to how y'all was talking about Russell Westbrook. I feel bad that I won't be like one of those dudes. Like I'm not gonna let y'all slander Russell Westbrook like that. I feel like that's what I'm gonna have to be. And like he didn't win a ring. Like you just had to see him play. Like you just had to see him play. I don't know what to tell you. Like if I don't know, some guy who comes out in 2030 plays like that's how Russell plays. Except Russell was even more athletic. No, that's right. Of course. You gotta
correct me if I'm wrong though, Random. I mean, Russ should be talked about with Allen Iverson, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone. Maybe I don't know. Karl Malone might be one above him.
I think
because but he should probably be talked. I mean, Russell Westbrook. It's not disrespectful to talk about him where he properly is rated. I mean, he would be with guys like Allen Iverson, right?
He's gonna be one of those guys like
Carmelo
you know how
right?
Stockton is getting slandered now for some reason. That's what's gonna be him when I'm Chill's age. I'm like, why all of a sudden all this slander for Russell just coming?
Watch. I'm telling you, I say it to Mars all the time. You watch, man. Watch.
I don't put Russell Westbrook on John Stockton's tier either.
Yeah, but he's gonna be one of those. Maybe I didn't mean to make it seem like I was putting him on that tier. I would just like let you know, like he's just gonna be one of those players. Like maybe because I haven't, like I said, I've been watching, but AI gets some sneak slander. He gets some sneak slander because of his inefficiency, but it ain't gonna be no sneak with Russell. They're gonna be coming at him straight in the face, and I don't. It's gonna be one of those guys.
That's already started.
Yeah, but I hope this stint that he has after LeBron is good because I think what he does until he's eventually done in the league and he's over, I think that's gonna be a big part of his legacy. Because right now, when you look back all the way to when he started, you're gonna be like, this is exactly what we think of him, and I think this last phase of his career could really change that.
Chilltown, do you mind if I'm honest for a moment?
Please be.
I'm gonna be honest.
Please.
In 20 years, Chilltown, ain't nobody gonna be talking about Russell Westbrook. Not even a hate on him. Russell Westbrook is going to be forgotten. Russell Westbrook is going to be forgotten in 15 seasons, maybe 12, 15 seasons. Russell Westbrook is going to be forgotten.
We're in 2023 right now, right? 20 years from now, right? So we're talking 2040, 2043. I'm gonna be close to 70 at that time, right? So I was around when Russ showed up. So now we're talking about a guy in Russ who averaged a triple-double 4 times in 5 years. He did that. Russ is going to be out of the conversation because there's going to be a guy that comes along who's going to do something that's not the same as Russ, but something he's going to be
average a triple-double twice. What are we talking about?
Not only average a triple-double twice, he may average a triple-double twice, and they may win it. And now all of a sudden, forget what Russ did. For as long as Russ did it, now all of a sudden, Russell Westbrook was playing against plumbers. Russell Westbrook was inefficient.
I hope they update that. He was playing against streamers and podcasters.
Yep.
They're not going to say it about Russell Westbrook because they're not going to say anything about him.
That's nasty work. Context is right. That's nasty work.
Yeah, there's no way that I, if I'm still around, will allow Russell Westbrook to not be talked about. There's no way I'm going to do that.
No. I'll be right there, right next to you, Chill. But
there's no way.
Speaking of the elderly, no, Chill. I like to call you like you're experienced. You're experienced. You're not old. But that Victor hair dye take was the first time I was like, you know what, Mars is right. You old today. You old today, Chill. What was that? You was treating him like he about to turn into Dennis Rodman. Like Dennis Rodman. Hold on, Chill. Let me finish. Let's pretend like Dennis Rodman was coming up every day. Now, Dennis Rodman was an anomaly in the genetic code of Earth. That's who he was. And then for you to even put that man's name in Victor's sentence, we wouldn't know nothing about him. They was like, you know what? I got a couple weeks. I'm gonna dye my hair. We practice it anyway. But you like, nah, get ready. He gonna be dating Ariana Grande when he's 53 and blah blah blah. He gonna be doing this. He gonna say Mark, like you treating him bad. What we talk about?
Okay, so again, the thing that I remember when I think about franchise players is I think about consistency. And when I think about something that goes off the rails, does this mean that the dude is gonna like Big Ox said?
Chill.
Is this dude gonna be now? Is this dude now going to be smoking weed and backpacking with a ponytail?
Chill.
Is he going to be doing that? No, I'm not doing that. Okay, I'm not going that far. What I am saying though is this is something that's uncharacteristic. I didn't see this. This came out of nowhere.
Chill.
What does this mean?
Chill. I would agree with you. Yeah, chill. I would agree with you if he was like, if he got a DUI, then I'd agree with you. These are him. Putting that hair down his hair ain't hurt nobody. And Bob, I wish you fought harder than. Why does it feel like I'm fighting harder against this?
This is how it starts. I'm telling you,
because it's not that
hair dye. Chill. If he was a DUI, I'd agree with you. If he was even caught smoking weed, I'd agree with you. It's a DUI. It's hair dye. It ain't hurt nobody.
All I'm thinking about is consistency more than anything. I'm thinking about consistency. I'm thinking about a guy who never showed me anything like this. Now all of a sudden. This could very well be a 19-year-old kid that just was, being a goofball. All right, I could get with that. But if we move further, and then the next thing you know, he's not playing up to where he should be playing, and it's affecting his game. Not this is affecting his game, but he's playing in a different way. This thing is going to come up. And the last thing you need as a number 1 overall pick is to give people more firepower. That's the last thing that you need. And something like this, ain't nobody saying that the dude got to walk. There's nobody. I'm not saying that the guy's got to walk straight laced and be Tim Duncan and go play basketball and then disappear after he plays. No, I'm not saying that. But when you do stuff like this,
he was on that wakeboard. We found him.
Yeah. When you do stuff like this, what you're doing is you're opening up Pandora's box when you do stuff like this.
Hair dye.
Random. This is my biggest thing about the whole hair dye thing. It's like we don't know this kid as what I'm saying is he's what he does isn't as well documented, even though he's a mega star. You know, for all we know, he might be a little wild. You know what I'm saying? He might already be that way. You know what I'm saying? We don't know.
The lack of distrust in this man who has
It's not distrust.
nothing.
It's not distrust. And even the kid.
Chill. You telling me your trust in him?
So even
stayed the same after that picture.
Even the kid being a kid.
I'm not going off the rails.
Doesn't mean you distrust him though. You know what I'm saying?
It's just something that I recognize. I ain't going off the rails. Like, the dude about to be doing lines, and we about to find him in the club at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm not going that far. What I am saying though is this is something uncharacteristic.
So you just so if how about this? What if he dyed his hair like 3 years into his career? Would that have been a problem?
If he was playing first of all, he hasn't even played in the NBA yet.
That's why I'm like, you're not even giving him a chance.
Right. That makes it worse. That makes it worse.
Oh, chill. Come on, bro. Your
nasty,
age is showing for the first time.
No, it ain't. No, it's
not. Very disappointed in you.
Yo, Emmanuel, what you got, Emmanuel?
Yeah, I just have a question. So, did you have this energy for Dennis Schroeder when he had the little dye in his hair?
I thought that was his hair. To be honest with you, I didn't even know that was I didn't know that was something that was. First of all, Dennis Schroeder. There's no reason to put Dennis. Are you putting Dennis Schroeder and Wemby in the same category?
No,
is that what we're doing?
There's just like NBA players who dyed their hair before.
No, there's not NBA players. We're talking about the number 1 overall pick. We're talking about a generational talent and Dennis Schroeder. Is that what you just brought up?
No, but it's just
that's exactly who you just brought up.
Is that why? Because he's the number 1 pick and like the hype around him. Is that why? Or is it just like other stuff?
There's more of a demand when you are the number 1 overall pick. There's more of a demand on you.
Definitely, but
there's definitely more of a demand on you.
Like a record or something, but like I don't remember this dude getting any trouble. Like as if he just has his
I don't either.
And doesn't get into any trouble.
I don't either.
Like I don't
either.
Like if you said this about Imani Bates, I get it because we've seen Imani Bates.
Monty,
he got anything from Wemby to suggest
like
to even have talk like
never
that.
Been arrested. Like
that's where I'm at. Like you, dang. We're talking about a number 1 overall pick in the face of a franchise who does something uncharacteristic. So again, you work for a law firm, you work for a big time organization, and then one day the face of this organization comes in. Who the last time you saw him, he was suited and booted, and then the next time you see him, he's got purple streaks in his hair. You're like, wait a minute, what the hell? I mean, like,
are you okay? So it's nothing.
Fun.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if something now, like I was like, he having fun. I got no reason to distrust this man because every time he's been professional, Is he still going to be professional? Then bet. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know.
Okay.
That's
obviously,
it.
There's a line. But
appreciate y'all, man. We'll get y'all next time. Appreciate it. Good points.
Thanks for having me.
No doubt. Yeah. Let me see. So, you know what, Chilton? That's what I meant to ask you about a little earlier. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious to, season's coming. It seems like it's taking forever, but it is approaching. I've been checking out the schedules, looking at my Kings, seeing which games I'll be able to catch up. Mm-hmm. Obviously just preparing for the upcoming season. So in preparation for this season, I'm asking myself questions like, which team is going to be the most improved? And I'm like, well, we got Chill tomorrow. I'm going to ask Chilton, what team do you think will be the most improved team this year in the NBA?
Well, one of the teams that I was paying attention to was the Houston Rockets. Excuse me, because I think that they're going to be a lot better just because they got Ime. But the team that I'm thinking about I feel like is going to be the most improved of all of them is Oklahoma City. I really feel like Oklahoma City is going to be a lot better this year coming up than they were last year. I think they're a bona fide playoff team, right? I think they're a lock play. I don't think they're a play-in team. I think they're a lock. I think they're a lock playoff team with Chet being the man in the middle, Chet being the rim protector, Chet being the rebounder, with Josh Giddey being the playmaker, with Lou Dort being the defender that he is on the wing, with SGA also. I think his defense steps up. I think both the Williams guys, I think that they're going to be better. I think that's the one team that I feel like of all the teams is going to be the best in terms of being the most improved, with the exception of Minnesota, because I think Anthony Edwards takes that jump, and I think Jaden McDaniels also takes that jump. But the one team that I feel like is going to be the most improved, I think it's Oklahoma City. I think they're a bona fide playoff team this season.
Okay. What about player in the NBA? Which player do you think is probably going to get that most improved award this year?
I think it's Anthony Edwards. I do. I think Anthony Edwards takes that leap this season to I think he's on the cusp. If he's not an all NBA performer this year, I think he's right on the doorstep of being an all NBA performer. And I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if he was an all league defender this year too. That would not surprise me if he was an all league defender, because I see it on both sides of the basketball. He's still young and he's still learning the game. He's going into year 3. Right. So with that being said, I'm thinking about a guy who is still trying to figure out the game, but I can see the improvement. That jump shot has gotten better. Him defending, because he looks like he's gotten stronger. So athletically, he looks better. He looks like he's getting better at reading defenses and being more disciplined. Just this season alone. I mean, just this summer alone. So the work has obviously been put in. So if there's one guy that I'm thinking would be most improved, him and Evan Mobley.
Evan Mobley. Yeah,
yep, him and Evan Mobley.
Yeah, I can see that. If Anthony Edwards can put in the work this year to make the all defensive team, that's going to be pretty much him putting the league on notice. Like, yeah, it's mine.
Yeah,
because his offense isn't going to get worse. If anything, it'll just get even more efficient.
Yeah.
So if his offense gets more efficient and he steps up the defense to that level, all defensive team, I think that's pretty much putting the league on notice that he's here and he's here to stay.
I'm on record, Big Ox. I think he's the best two guard in the game in the next 2 years tops. That includes Devin Booker. That includes Donovan Mitchell. I think he's the best two guard in the game.
Okay. IG, what's going on?
What up?
What up?
Let's talk about a sneaky pick.
You're not prepared, brother?
No, he's not.
Actually.
Who'd you say, Cade Cunningham?
Yeah, Cade. Yep. I think that's my pick for most improved.
Well, let me ask you this question. You said let's talk about a sneaky pick. Where did Cade Cunningham get drafted?
Oh yeah, number 1.
He was the number 1 overall pick. He's their franchise player. So with that being said, they have their backcourt with now him, and I'm on record talking about this, that I think that they're one of the most underrated. They're going to be one of the underrated duos in the league this year with him and Jaden Ivey. So I think that they're going to be a lot better. But in terms of him being a sneaky pick, people expect a lot of things out of Cade Cunningham.
Maybe sneaky is the wrong word though. But I just mean because he's coming off of injury,
right?
Necessarily, because even before the injury, I thought he was still a pretty solid player. I mean, his 3-point shooting isn't like high enough to be an elite scorer, but and he has defensive intangibles still. So, but
I think with Cunningham,
another thing that we talked about, or you guys talked about earlier, was y'all talked about tall guards basically.
Yeah,
I feel like he fits that mold pretty well.
At 6'8", yep. At 6'8", he fits the big guard spot. So I expect a lot of things out of Cade Cunningham this season. I don't think that I don't feel like he's sneaking up on anybody. I mean, he had a really good rookie campaign last year. He got hurt, so that really threw a monkey wrench in a lot of stuff that Detroit was trying to do. This season right here, I think that he takes that leap, and I think he makes them better. I don't think Detroit is a playoff team, but I do think that they're better.
Oh, I think they're a play-in team, like maybe 10 seed.
Who's going to be better? Who's going to be better, Detroit or Orlando?
I'll say Orlando.
Orlando. I think he's better. I mean, I think Orlando is better. And the reason why I think that they're better, because that crew has been together for a little while. They still trying to piece it together in Detroit. You know, Cade was out all last season. They just got Ivy. They just got Wiseman. So
they just got Monty Williams too.
They just got Monty Williams, Jalen Duren. I mean, these guys, they still trying to piece this thing together. That Orlando team, even though they just got Paolo, that crew has been together for a little while. So with them being together for a little while, I think that the chemistry there is meshing a little bit quicker than it is in Detroit.
What you think, Sturdy?
I think if I had to choose, I would try to go with the Pistons. I think the underrated hiring of Monty, I think that's good for their development. And on top of that, I do believe in Wiseman. I do believe in their 3-center depth for that team. And that's why I think it'll take them over the punch. I think Orlando needs to make a few moves. You know, they do have great young talent like Paolo, like Fultz, like Wagner. But I just think they have a few redundancies, especially at the guard position. So I just think they need a little more balance for that roster.
Yeah.
That's why I
Do you
was.
have, do you have a pick? Do you have go ahead.
So let me ask you this. So they're not better than Milwaukee. They're not better than Boston. They're not better than Philly. They're not better than Cleveland. They're not better than the Knicks, right? They're not better than Brooklyn. They're not better than Miami. They're not better than Miami. I don't think they're better than Toronto. Now, that's 9 teams right there. This is where it gets tricky. Are they better than the Bulls?
No.
Are they better than Indiana?
No.
Are they better than Orlando?
Yes.
So that's 11 teams right there.
Yeah, we even mentioned Charlotte or the Nets.
No, we mentioned Brooklyn. So that's 11 teams right there.
Yeah.
So I think they're 12. I think they're 12 at best in the East.
I know we got some Nets supporters, but I'm not sure about the Nets this season. I'm not sure about the Nets. I'm not sure about Toronto. I'm not sure about Chicago. I'm not sure about Indiana. I think the Pistons in Orlando can be better than all those teams I just named.
All of them.
Yeah, even Brooklyn. Like Brooklyn, Charlotte, Chicago, Indiana. Yeah, I'm not sure about those teams.
I don't think they're better than Chicago. Even though Chicago lost Ball, which again, I think that's a big deal that they lost Ball. Him being out, they were a bona fide playoff team with him on the crew. That threw a monkey wrench in everything that they were doing. But I still think that they better than Detroit coming into this season. So Orlando, I think Orlando is better than them simply off the strength that Orlando, with the young talent that they got and the fact that they've been together for longer, I think that they are better than Detroit. Now, when you get into the other teams like Washington, are they better than Washington? I think Washington's going to be the worst team in the NBA. I don't think Washington's the worst team in the Eastern Conference. I think they're going to be the worst team in the league.
I forgot about Washington.
Yeah, I think they're going to be worst team in the NBA. And them, I don't think that I think that they're better. I think they're better than Washington. I think they're better than Charlotte. That's as far as I'm going in the East. That's it.
That's fair. Fellas, y'all got anything else? Or
yeah, let me chill before I get off. We good for Sunday? We good for this Sunday for the debate?
Yeah, I'll get with you.
All right, bet. That's gonna be on FYF. I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna let you know what time.
I'll get with you. Yep.
All right, fellas. Appreciate y'all.
Yo, y'all get them likes up. Like, share, subscribe, y'all. It's free.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, support it.
Y'all get them likes up, man. I'm running on this last $3, man.
And he's had that $3 for like 6 months now, so help him out, man. Dang.
Please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. We got. Okay, text. What's up, bro?
Hold on. Ox, there's no way. Yeah, all right. Let me just get
Russell Westbrook.
There's a lot going on. Hold on. Before I break my laptop, there's a lot going on. It's cool. I'm gonna let y'all rock. Sure, I'm gonna say this. For one of my picks for MVP, I think Luka is going to be the strongest case for his MVP. I think he lost weight. I think Dallas has made the appropriate moves that they do. The only thing that they're really lacking in is kind of like a official starting big man. I'm not too high on the rookie yet. I think he needs a lot of reps. So I don't think that they have a complete roster yet, but I think that they filled out enough guys to maximize Luka and Kyrie. I think Kyrie is going to be an assassin. He's going to basically become a 6'2" Kobe, and Luka is going to control the rest of the offense. He's going to get triple-double galore. It's going to be like baby Jokic stats, you know what I mean? Where it's just all these triple-doubles. So that's what I have as my dark horse MVP. I think they're also going to make a deep playoff run. I think they can make the Western Conference Finals. On the East Coast, I have Indiana making the playoffs. I think that's going to be the most improved team in the East Coast. If you guys remember, before Halliburton got injured, they was 4th in the league. We were 5th in the league. My fault. With the additions that they do have with Bruce Brown, with Obi Toppin, with Jarice Walker, especially, and a big thing. I know that you've been watching the showcasing games, right? This is a big opportunity, and this is a big learning curve that a lot of these guys go through. I think everybody that's going to be participating in the USA basketball is going to bring back a lot of beneficial skills that they learned playing with other guys. I think like I'm with you, Cho. In next 2 years, and probably he's gonna make the case by next year, best two guard in the league. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna jump off the clip and say this. By the end of his career, Anthony Edwards will be a top 5 shooting guard. He will be better. He will be right behind Dwayne Wade. It will be Mike, Kobe.
So you're putting him ahead of Drex.
He's going to be above Clyde Drexler. He's going to be above Mitch Richmond. He's going to be above David Thompson. He's going to be above Allen Iverson. He's going to be above James Harden.
He's going to be above Manu Ginobili.
Wow. Yes, all right.
Easily.
Okay.
Landslide.
Okay.
Landslide.
Okay. Okay.
And here's the thing, Cho. The thing about it is a lot of people don't want to say it, but the guy's first step he's in the ballpark with those guys. He doesn't have regular NBA first step. He has elite guard first step. He has like quick, very like if Dwayne Wade, D Rose, where whatever spot he wants to get to at this point is very easy for him. And the reason why I feel like I disagree with Mass when he said he didn't like his shot selection, I think that's just due to the personnel. I think when you have to, I think one of the things that I think is going to be the hindrance in Ant's playing time in Minnesota is Cat's spatial awareness on the floor. Cat has a moment where he's a stretch big, then he's a post player, then he's a mid-post guy, then he kind of floats around. He doesn't know where he's at. Then he's in the dunker spot. I don't think that provides Ant Edwards with enough room, and that's what regulates him to shoot like those long distance twos where he didn't need to, where he could get like a 10-foot jump shot, things of that nature, right? So in my opinion, like you said, once he locks in on the defensive end and refines that mid-range, and to me, it's not he can't make those shots. I think the personnel and the spacing is going to affect how he plays. And I think this team atmosphere, the Team USA, is even a better building block for him in terms of IQ. You know what I mean? So I think he's going to be a top 5 shooting guard of all time at the end of his career, for sure. And I have Indiana as my most important.
That was ridiculous contest.
I don't think I'm not saying top 5 all time. I'm just going off what I see right now, and I'm on record saying this also, that I think he's a more athletic version of Mitch Richmond. That's what I see when I see him. So with that being said, I think that within the next year or two, tops, he's going to be the best 2 guard, and the separator is going to be on the defensive end, right? So now what we're talking about when he's at that level, what is going to happen in Minnesota? How are they going to continue to build that unit around him? How are they going to continue to get better with him being on the floor? Because him being versatile, him pushing his game out from 17 to 19 feet. In fact, let's flip that around. When he gets that 17 or that 15 to 19 feet, that 17 to 19 feet, when he gets that in his game, when he consistently gets that in his game, I think the defensive side of the ball, I think that's going to show immediately. I don't think that's going to be something that's going to take years to translate. I think that's something that's going to start immediately. But when you're talking about him playing in the mid range, right? Him putting, because Anthony Edwards is 6'5", so him putting a post game in his game, stuff like that. That stuff, I think that's where he's going to start to really separate himself, not just from the 2 guard. I think that he's going to separate himself from the rest of the players in the league. So then now what we're going to do is we're going to have conversations about him. Like I talk about Jason Tatum, that's how I feel like I'm going to be talking about Anthony Edwards.
And that's what, and for me, my fault. And this is the last point. But
I want to. Hold on, let's stay here for a second though.
Okay.
I want to get some information from y'all. I need y'all to go ahead and just be bold. Let's talk.
Okay.
So specifically for you, Tex, because you said top 5 shooting guard of all time. Now, Chilltown, if you think he's gonna get any, I would love to get your count too. 2 questions: how many MVPs will Anthony Edwards get? Second question is, let's assume that Minnesota gets him good pieces, and or Cat wakes up, or if they trade Cat for something good. Let's give Anthony Edwards a good front office.
Mm-hmm.
What type of rings are we talking for Anthony Edwards? Because what is he, 23?
Right,
21.
21. Okay, so Ant could easily have 14, 15 years left in the NBA. So let's talk about it. In those 14, 15, God bless him with the health to do that. Let's talk about 14, 15 years of Ant Edwards with the good situation. How many MVPs and how many rings are we talking? Because I'm not confused because the kid is amazing. But what I'm hearing from y'all two right now is more than I've ever heard. Are we talking about Anthony Edwards or Michael Jordan?
I think his ceiling, to be honest with you, I think his ceiling, and I think Jason Tatum's ceiling is a little bit higher because he's bigger, and I think his skill set is a little bit better. And I think that on the defensive side of the ball, I don't think him and Anthony Edwards are that far away. But I think about Jason Tatum as potentially a league MVP. For Anthony Edwards, it has to be something substantial. What I mean when I say that is he's got to do something like what Luka is doing. He's got to do something like what Russell Westbrook was doing in order for him to be in that conversation. He's got to do what Steph Curry was doing, where he's leading the league in scoring, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are in a top 5, top 3 seed. If he's still in Minnesota now, if he's moving on to a different place like Miami, where they're going to build something around him, where Pat Riley's going, okay, this is the future of our franchise right here, because Jimmy Butler is gone. Anthony Edwards' contract is up, so he'll come down to Miami. Pat Riley will build something around him and make it so he could be put in that position. But I think his ceiling is a top 5 MVP candidate, top 4, which for me, I think that's right close to a top 5 player in the game. Definitely a top 10 player in the game. And in terms of rings, it depends on where he stays, because Minnesota has shown me over the years that they are not equipped to build a championship unit around any player that they've ever had. So there's no reason for me to believe that with Anthony Edwards being on this roster and him being as good as he is, that they will build a championship roster around him.
Sure. Can you see him getting 2 MVPs?
I'm not sure that he gets one. But maybe, I am sure that
2026 and 2029 he gets.
It depends on where he is. It depends if he's somewhere else where they're building a unit around him where we can really see his skill set and really maximize his game. I think he can definitely be in the conversation of being the league MVP. Maybe get one. But if he's still in Minnesota, he's going to have to do what KG was doing. And it took Sam Cassell and Latrell Sprewell to show up in order for him to win that.
Yeah.
Even though he was doing that years before them dudes showed up.
That's a fair point. And that's what.
All right, Tex, go ahead. Jump off this cliff, Tex.
So
how many MVPs and how many rings is he about
so here's the thing, right? I'm with you. I want to jump off the cliff, right? But the reason why I have my reservations, exactly what Chill said, right? I have to be kind of logical. I want to jump off the cliff, but I gotta be logical, right? I gotta do it with some insurance. I can't. With looking at the roster right now, there's no reason for me to say that his game is going to get highlighted or elevated to the point of MVP, because his skill set isn't maximized on both ends. There's a lot of hindrances on the offensive end, and then on the defensive end, they kind of built it around him, but there's a lot of inconsistencies that doesn't really help him. So, for example, if we're gonna do the rings thing, let's say, for example, we drop him and we put him
Let's say down in Inglewood. Let's say down in Inglewood, they get rid of Paul George, they get rid of Kawhi.
And we're building a unit around you.
And they go grab Anthony Edwards. You know he gonna spend some money.
Right.
So let's say he goes get Anthony Edwards. He spends some money. Tex, you just said this man's gonna be a top 5 shooting guard of all time. I need you to start talking rings and MVP.
So hear me out. Boom. Right. So
let's or at least in the NBA Finals.
Hey,
let's do that.
Let's do
that. All right. Let me jump off the cliff. I got my parachute on. Right. So if he's in LA, right, and you give him now, can I request for one player to play with him? Can I request for one player to play with him?
Whatever, sure.
All
right. Somehow. I need to know how he's going to be top 5.
If you give him, now I'm gonna say this for
Liam, it's your background's real loud, bro. You don't got no headphones or something? Or?
I got earbuds on, but I was walking home.
Okay, I'm gonna keep you on mute till you get there, bro. It's really loud.
I'll give you two scenarios. I'll give you 2 scenarios for the ring thing. Let's say we take off Jamal Murray and we put Ant Edwards. They're 3-peating.
In Denver?
They're 3-peating. If you take off Jamal, I don't need nobody else.
So with the current crew that they have, because again, I'm not a fan of Minnesota's front office and the way that they do things. But from a talent standpoint,
right,
you got a 20-10 guy in Cat. You got one of the better rim protectors and rebounders in the game in Rudy Gobert. Right? You got arguably the best perimeter defender in Jaden McDaniels. You got one of the best dirty work guys in Naz Reid. Right? So with all of that being said, you have a unit around him right now. Can Minnesota would Minnesota be better this season? They should be. They should be a bona fide playoff team.
Yes,
they should be a top 5 seed in the West.
But let me just say this too, and I'll answer the other thing for with you, Ox. If it's just a team that is building around in terms of MVP, right? For MVPs, if you give him a point guard like Tyrese Halliburton, he's getting 2 MVPs. Okay, give him a point guard that because the thing about it is, with those type of players, you need guys that are going to feed the hot hand. And I think what ends up happening, and that's why you see that they move from D'Lo and they move to Mike Conley, because Mike Conley understands, okay, he has a little bit more knowledge of time selection, when to do it, when to give it to the hot hand, things of that nature. To me, Tyrese Halliburton, already seeing the chemistry that he's shown with Team USA and just his natural talent, I think he would force feed and force Anthony Edwards to get like 35 a game. And like Chill would say, he would have to put up like a Kobe-esque where he's 35, like those kind of like numbers to stand out so much as far as offensive player to go against. You know what I mean? It's either he goes in the Luka stage where it's do everything, or he has to outshine as a scorer so much. So if you give him a guy like Tyrese Halliburton and the scoring numbers are so incredible and it's so dominant that I think he would get at least 2 MVPs. But if you put him with Jokic, take off Jamal Murray. Put him with Jokic.
You gonna sit there and put him with Jokic, Tex?
I'm just saying.
That's crazy.
But take out
He would
Jamal
never
Murray.
get the credit with playing with Jokic.
Facts. But all right, Tex, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna pull up Leaf Diggy. He just popped in the back, bro. But
yes, sir.
Appreciate you popping up.
You already know, man.
We still going to stick around.
Yes, sir.
All right. What's going on, Minor?
My man, what's going on, Ox? What's going on, Chill?
What up?
Leaf Diggy, what's up?
I got a question for both of y'all,
What up?
especially you, Ox, being a Kings fan. Chill, you remember who the Kings traded to get Chris Webber? Or Ox, do you remember?
I do not.
I don't. It was a bucket of extra crispy and a 6-pack, by the way.
No, sir. That's disrespectful to Mitch Richmond and Order Stort.
Wow, it was Mitch Richmond. Oh,
to DC?
Sure
yes,
was.
sir.
Yes, it was. Yep.
To
yes,
DC?
Why did he play
in Washington? Why did he play in Washington?
I think maybe 2 seasons.
He played in Washington? I don't even remember Mitch Richmond.
Yeah, I think he played in Washington for like a season or 2, and then he went to the Lakers.
Otis Thorpe was over, by the way.
Yeah, he was done.
Otis Thorpe was over. So the prize was Mitch Richmond in 1998.
Yes,
that's
sir.
That's what they traded him for at that point. Mitch Richmond in 1998.
It was 90. It was 90.
I remember, bro, because I was playing NBA Live during that time, and I used to use the Wizards.
If you ask me, we won that trade.
Hell yeah!
Well, yeah, absolutely. My question is,
y'all robbed the hell out of them.
Mitch Richmond.
How much better would the Kings have been able to be keeping Mitch and pairing him up with C-Webb and then drafting James?
Mitch only had a couple of years left.
Mm-hmm. He was over.
Mitch only played to what, 2001, 2002, right?
He retired in 2002. And he was traded in 98.
He played 12 years in the league, bro. He was over after 98.
However, the year before he got traded was literally his best statistical year. So if you look at his numbers that year, the following year, if he doesn't, I think he got hurt. I think he got hurt.
Yeah, it sure was.
So if he's able to,
we were ready to go by 01. You know, by the time we were ready to go, I think Mitch would have been pretty much done. I don't know.
Maybe you gotta think.
If I'm not mistaken, C Webb in '99, bro, had a damn good year too.
Exactly, because Jason Williams came in ready to go, and they already got Vlade as well.
Jason Williams took that team to unforeseeable heights, man.
To me, the Kings' biggest problem was always their shooting guard. So if they at least get Exactly. If at least they can get 2, maybe 3 decent years out of Mitch, do you think they do a better job of beating the Lakers? Or do they even have a better shot at beating the Lakers?
I'm gonna tell you the truth, Minor. The NBA wasn't gonna let us beat the Lakers anyway.
Exactly. The script was already in. That's exactly what my mind was on. The script
It
was
don't matter.
already
It don't
in.
matter who we would have.
The script was already in, bro. Like, nah, they wasn't letting that go down. They wasn't letting that go down. Come on, you gotta picture. You gotta see what David Stern had to work with back then. He was gonna work with Sacramento versus the Nets in the finals. You really thought that was gonna?
What about the year before that, Leaf, when they got swept out the playoffs? What about that? What about that year? What about the year before that when they lost to Utah in the first round? What about that year? The NBA had something to do with that? I'm so sick of y'all dudes with these conspiracy theories, man. How about the Kings just wasn't good enough? How about the fact that Chris Webber in Game 7 of 0-2 of the Western Conference Championship, 5 points in the second half, including the overtime. He played 53 minutes. 53 minutes, 5 points, and 3 rebounds in the second half, including the overtime. But the NBA it's a conspiracy theory. I'm good with you dudes, man. Y'all dudes get my blood pressure up with this garbage.
But see, that's why I lean back going towards Mitch.
You know that
because at least they would have had another shot creator.
How about that?
To help out them. Oh, the Lakers were clearly better.
How about they just was better? How about that?
Well, if you could get your co-host to co-sign with that, bro, listen, be my guest, but I highly doubt it, bro. I'm always like to mess around, but I want to get on that shit you told me yesterday. Oh man, yo. So, and it came up across my screen while I was at work today, and it said on a tight zoom, and it said Karl Anthony Towns, Blazers, Timberwolves, maybe sending Karl Anthony Towns for Dame. And when you said it yesterday, man, my top blew off. I was just like, yo, what the hell did he just say?
Why would the Timberwolves make that trade?
They would hand him over. I think they would hand him.
You said why in the Timberwolves? My question: why would Portland make that trade?
That's a good trade for the Timberwolves.
I think they hand him over.
That's a damn good trade for the Timberwolves. But I'm saying, what the hell is Portland want with Kitty Cat? Is my question.
Well, they don't have no low post scorer, and that's number one. They don't have anybody who can stretch the defense like him. That's number two. Number three, you already got your.
Don't they got Nurkic?
You already Nurkic is not better than Cat. He is not.
No, he's not.
On no level, is he better than Cat?
And he stays hurt too.
Right. On top of that, you already got your guard situation figured out. Because Scooter's the future. Anthony Simons. Plus, you got your perimeter guy in Sharp. Right. Plus, you got Jeremy Grant. So where you're lacking now, you bringing over a 20-10 guy in Cat. Now, Cat may be, for lack of a better term, Dr. Cotton. He might be that. Yes. With that being said, the Minnesota Timberwolves are looking at how much better they would get with Dame in the backcourt with Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert man in the paint, with Jaden McDaniels as their perimeter defender, and with Naz Reid as another one of their dirty work guys. I think Minnesota hands him over. I do.
But Chill, do you think that stunts Anthony Edwards' growth?
No. In fact, I think it enhances it. And the reason why I think it enhances it is because how many more years you think Damian Lillard got?
3. Playing at this level, probably about 4, maybe.
I'm thinking 2 more years at this level. Maybe
I was thinking 2, but as well.
Really?
But, I mean,
he's 33, baby.
But here's the thing: shooters is gonna shoot.
Thank you.
That's the thing about it, you know.
And it's always a premium for shooters. Shooters can stick around in the league longer than anybody.
I think you'll open the game up a little more for Anthony Edwards. Also, you know, the main thing about the Timberwolves. I'm sorry, the Trailblazers. Is rumor is whoever takes Dame has to take Nurkic too. So
Dame and Nurkic is a package deal.
Well, that's just what I've been hearing from.
I've heard that too.
Yes. You know
what? So if you put Nurkic over there, that kind of helps out with a little more the scoring. You know, I really like Minnesota.
I ain't gonna lie, Minnesota.
That's not a bad deal there.
Minnesota can definitely load up. That's not too bad. With Rudy Gobert man in the paint. Still with Jaden McDaniels, and Jaden McDaniels, I don't know how he didn't make no All-NBA defensive team. I'm confused. It's still a mystery to me.
But Chilltown. So if Portland was willing to do that, that would mean that they've seen enough from Scoots, right? That would mean that they're like, okay, now Scoots he's ready. So I mean, if they're willing to do that based on what they've seen from Scoot, does that mean that Cat over there will actually make Portland better?
I do think that. Well, he's that. If you look at what they have in their backcourt with both Scoot and Anthony Simons, who's a 20-a-game guy, and now you got Scoot, right? And then you got Jeremy Grant. So now they're looking at Scoot. If they're moving off Dame, these guys are our future. So what are we missing? We missing that low post presence that we didn't have. And that's a 20 and 10 guy in Cat. I think Minnesota hands him over.
Yeah, I like that trade.
I mean,
we talked about this before too. We've talked about this trade before. I like it.
He talked about it with me yesterday, and my head blew off. I was just like, "Wait a minute." My only question was, why would Portland want Townsend? Y'all basically just answered that question. You know, now they got somebody that's like a low post guy, so a guy that could get on a low block. I think he's gonna be playing more pick and roll with the speed that they got in the backcourt with Simons and
I never understood why they don't play more pick and roll with Cat now. I mean, one of the
main reasons for Cat being where he is, number one, he's playing at a position. When he came into the league, he was a 4-man. He got moved over to the 5. He played the 4 in college, and not only did he play the 4 in college, he thrived at the 4. It was actually going to be that when Rudy got over there, he was going to move back to his natural position, playing the 4, but he was lost on defense. Add that to the fact that he missed 54 games, so he didn't get himself acclimated back to the 4. He just was clueless. So now this season coming in, he's going to go back to the 4. If he can stay healthy, we can now get a look at what this thing is going to look like.
So
we can now get a legit look at it.
So wait, Chilltown. With that being said, if everything that Bobby said about the Nurkic package deal is true, he's going to be back to playing 5 when he get in Portland, ain't he?
They don't have a rim protector in Portland. They don't. They do not.
And Cat don't play no defense.
So they would have to.
Got a couple of young athletic kids down there.
They don't have a 5-man.
They got some athletes down there. They got Eubanks.
They don't have a legit 5-man though. That you can move Cat, where you can move Cat to the 4, where he can play the 4 and thrive at the 4. He just looked lost on defense this season at the 4. Because I mean, it was a transition from playing the 5 to playing the 4. He's been playing the 5 for the last 7 years. Now he got to move over to the 4. This ain't Anthony Davis who played the 4 in New Orleans. This is not that dude. This is a dude who's been playing the 5 almost his whole career. And now he got to move over to a different position.
Let me ask you, Chill, if you're Cat this offseason, who would you like to see him working out with to make his game better?
I don't want to see him working out with nobody because his game ain't the question. I'm walking in practice and I'm starting to fight with him. That's what I'm doing. Because the problem that I got with him is the same problem that I got with DeAndre Ayton. Where are the nuts? That's what I want to know. What happens when a guy gets in your face? Are you really with the drama? Because that's why they got Rudy. The reason why they got Rudy is because they needed some toughness down low. They needed a rim protector. They needed a paint presence. Because every game that they played against Memphis in the playoffs, the problem that they had was that they got bullied. They were up double digits. And I believe in 4 of those games, 2 of the 4 games, they were up double digits. They could have very well won that series, but they got pushed around. That's why they got Rudy. If I'm looking at Cat, I'm not looking for him to work out with anybody because, again, I don't think his game from a skill set is in question. I think the toughness is where the problem is.
And he basically Charmin tissue. I go even further. I'm not getting him in practice. I'm meeting him at his hotel room. I'm like, yo, run that.
Ain't no fixing that though. Unfortunately.
Before I do wrap this up, because I do unfortunately have to do it.
One more question.
Let me ask y'all who would you rather have though? Karl Anthony Towns or DeAndre Ayton?
I'm gonna take DeAndre because
I would take DeAndre.
I feel like DeAndre, like he gonna show something as long as he getting the ball and as long as he involved, he gonna show something.
What about you, Chilltown? Who you taking?
Cat.
You gonna take Cat?
Really?
Because offensively he gives me a little bit more. And I can and the difference with Cat is that I could get him on a crew where he's not gonna, like, for example, if he was in Phoenix, like, he'll do that other stuff. and he'll rebound the basketball at a high level.
You really think he could get more Debo and do the intangibles more than
he'll do that stuff. And the reason why he'll do that stuff because he's looking at that crew that he on, and he'll have to do that. Ayton, on the other hand, is one of those guys where if you don't involve him, the head goes down. He's not, and I understand that from a big man's perspective. Like, yo, I'm running the floor, I'm rebounding, involve me. And I think they would do it. But the difference with Cat is Cat could get his shot in a multitude of ways. Like Cat shoots the long ball. Cat shoots in the mid-range. Cat is one of the best one-on-one players in the game on the perimeter. So because of that, I think that his game translates more.
Yeah. Hey, Leaf,
I agree with that.
Leaf, I gotta you gotta catch us on Saturday or catch Chilltown on his lives.
Hey, Chilltown, why you don't think the NBA capable of doing no fuck shit?
Because it's bad for the brand. I mean, again, we're talking about it. We're talking about a league that if this stuff was to come out, it questions the integrity of the entire league. We can't have that. And we live in an information age. You can't hide stuff like that. If they fixing games, that's gonna get out.
Yeah,
we're gonna find out about that.
I don't think
it destroys the credibility.
Able to do that, but refs are.
The refs are. You said you think the refs are.
Yeah, I definitely think the refs are. Thank y'all, fellas. I'll let y'all.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely. So let me grab a couple of these super chats real quick. Slime Jenkins says, "Chill. How you felt when Mass Appeal dropped?"
Well, first of all, I think DJ Premier is the GOAT producer, and he had a stretch. Even when Dr. Dre was running around, where I didn't think that there was a better beat maker at that time than DJ Premier. So when Mass Appeal dropped, you couldn't tell me nothing about. You couldn't say nothing foul to me about DJ Premier because I think he the GOAT producer anyway. So I thought that was dope.
Let me see from Guns Go Pew Pew.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Zion BSing with the new fitness look?
Well, I don't know if he's BSing with it. I mean, if you look at his body, the question is, can he maintain that? I don't think the issue is it being nonsense. That's how you're going to have to look. That's how you're going to have to come into camp. That's how you're going to have to maintain your body in order to play 60, 70 games. Because again, this is pro ball.
Facts. Well, we'll see. I'm curious to see between him, Zion, and Luka. I want to see them both stay in shape this year. You know, Jokic got in some better shape this year. I want to see all the guys come in shape. Make sure, you know, we have no injuries, no knickknacks. I just want a good, healthy basketball season this year.
Me too, yo.
Let's keep that. Mm-hmm. Let's keep that in the air. Let's stop talking about guys getting injured. Let's make sure, you know, we speak that positivity. But here, that's the end of the show today. Y'all, appreciate y'all stopping by. You know, we'll catch y'all on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Put a suit on, drink some water. Don't drink and drive. Love yourselves.
Right.
Tell your mother you love her too, by the way,
right.
if she's still around. Right. Tell your mama that you love her if she's still around. And until then, take it light, but take it.
Ooh.